Jack Swarbrick joins us now. He is the athletic director at Notre Dame, but also for this significant first couple of questions, Jack, along with the 10 commissioners of the major conferences at the Division I level who play football, they all make up the College Football Playoff Commission. And Jack, as you join us from South Bend, I understand that at 11 a.m. Eastern, your group was scheduled to have a conference call with Vice President Mike Pence. Anything you can share from that as you've just gotten off that call?
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me, Mike. Great to be with you. It strikes me that you may have just scheduled the greatest differential in athletic talent in the history of a sports show by having Mike Trout on first and me second.
Oh. Well, that's okay, Jack, because I've scheduled the greatest difference on someone's schedule of all time. Call with the vice president, be on Mike Tirico's show. So we're even there. So what'd you guys talk about on the call?
It was great. The vice president was marvelous to initiate the call and have us join him to talk about college athletics. There were really two messages from him. One was to thank the commissioners for the really important decisions they made to suspend athletics, especially in the middle of the conference basketball tournaments, and the role that played in a positive way in contributing to containment of the virus. And the other was his interest in hearing us and our thoughts about what lie ahead for college athletics.
What did you hear, not just what you were able to share, but from the other commissioners on what does lie ahead in the short term? And then I'll get to the long term in a little bit, but what lies ahead in the short term for intercollegiate athletics at the Division I level?
Well, I think there was a common theme among us, which is college athletics is very different from any other form of sport because it's a collegiate activity. And the first question for us is, will our campuses be reopened? That's the starting point for everything here. We can engage in all the scenario planning we want, but our first piece of critical information is, will our colleges and universities be open on time in the fall? And will they all be open? Because college athletics requires that we all participate and that we can participate in a traditional way on campus with our students there. And so that's what we need to know.
Jack, before I go to the other stuff, one last thing about the call. Did you leave the call with any different sense on where we might be come the fall in terms of starting the college football season on time?
No, but I did very much appreciate the vice president's sharing with us the most recent information, the sort of information he shares with the public at those media sessions. But you know, there's reason for optimism. We got a long way to go, but he just reinforced the progress that's being made and will continue to be made. And we all sort of agreed that we'd circle back in a month or so and take stock of where we were.
Thanks for sharing that. But we've spent a lot of time over the last few years on campus in South Bend and talking about the connection there, and you alluded to it before. This is almost a conversation of restarting college athletics that goes above the coaches. It goes above you. It goes to the institutions, really, before we can get any sort of a light on what's going to happen with intercollegiate athletics. What are the target dates you're looking at to give you a sense that we can start preparing for a football season, which means we can also start to prepare to have kids on campus in the fall?
Well, every institution, as you well know, is a little bit different. But we made an announcement last week that we would start summer school in a virtual teaching environment, as we've done with this semester. May 15th is the deadline by which the university announced it would decide whether all of summer school would be conducted that way. So that's the next big thing on our radar. After that will be an announcement sometime past that about our approach to the fall semester. You know, we're all optimistic that we'll be back together on campus in the fall, but until that decision's made, it's hard for us to plan anything back from it. You know, we probably need at least 6, and I think most of us would prefer 7 or 8 weeks with our fall sports student athletes to adequately prepare them.
Jack, there's been some conversation of maybe we'll see a football season in the spring Is there any validity or legs to that?
Well, I think we have to, it's premature to take any option off the table. A season we move, a season we shorten, a season we delay the start of, all of that's
Right.
got to be under consideration. You know, the starting point for this will be the scientific data that we're given, the medical data, and then I think the commissioners will take the lead on trying to decide based on that with their institutions what's the best path forward. Because again, we have to do this as all of college athletics. Individual schools will make decisions about what they do, but to play college football in the fall, all of us have to come together in how we're going to approach that.
Jack, there are 47 million people, according to the NCAA stats from last year, who went to college football games, Division I, Division II, Division III, all across the country. You have had one of the most quoted comments regarding the relationship of fans in the stands and college football. Can you share your thoughts on if playing college football in empty stadiums is something that you see as part of the equation in the fall?
Yeah, it is not for me. I don't know how we reopen our campuses, put students back in dorms and in dining halls, and then say we can't be in a football stadium together. That doesn't feel compatible to me. Beyond the fact that I think college football needs the marching band and the cheerleaders and the fans and everything that's essential to the experience, this is more about we have to be consistent in our approach. I'm not sure how you say we're okay with the students engaging on the field, but not fans in the stands. Now, might there be approaches to fans in the stands that are a little different, that help ensure safety? Absolutely, but I can't see playing in empty stadiums.
Jack, University of Cincinnati announced yesterday their men's soccer program, which had been around since the 70s, was going to be cut off, ended. That saves about $800,000 on a bottom line. There are many different layers to that, which we don't have the time to get into. But do you see a runway here over the next year where we may see the financial impact be so significant that schools and universities cut down the number of programs that they offer in different sports?
Well, I absolutely see the potential for the financial impact to be very significant. Now, hopefully it's not. Hopefully we get our season started on time, but if we don't, and in the worst case, if we can't play college football, the financial consequences are extraordinary, and everything's going to have to be up for consideration. None of us are in a position to say we're only going to limit our consideration of how we're going to address this in a couple of days. We're going to have to look at everything.
Jack, is this a time where those who might be wondering if there's going to be a separation of the Power Five, Notre Dame, some other independents that are of that level, where they may separate from the other schools? Because one of the things that the letter from the commissioners that went to NCAA President Mark Emmert indicated was, can we get some relief on some of the restrictions of being at this level, which includes the number of sports we offer and attendance minimums and things like that? Could this lead to a potential divide in the road of the Power Five plus and then the other schools that are Division I?
I don't see that as a likely byproduct of this. I think this is really a time for college athletics, if anything, to come together more and figure out common solutions. It's been interesting that we're in this pandemic and all of the direct consequences of it. At the same time, we're moving forward on a bunch of pretty fundamental issues in college athletics, like the one-time transfer rule, name, image, and likeness. It's hard to imagine a time that's been more complicated in the history of college athletics. And in that regard, I think it's a time for pulling together more than anything else.
We could have a whole, and I hope to somewhere down the line, this whole separate conversation about this, but is there any way that out of this could come something where the influence of the institution, so less professionalism of sports and more of the amateur model, returns to intercollegiate athletics at the highest level? Could that happen?
I think it could, and it's a little bit of an outcome that I hope results. I hope there's a refocus on the integration of the student who's an athlete into the university. I think in too many instances, we've lost some of that connectivity. And because we are at such a critical stage where we are downstream from the judgments the university will make about opening, about finances, about its future, it's a great time to reconnect, to make sure that everything about our mission, everything about the way we treat students who are athletes lines up with the way other students on our campus experience their 4 years at Notre Dame.
Yeah, as everyone knows, we are in business with Notre Dame as carrying the home games of Notre Dame football. But that opportunity to be on campus the last few years for me has given me the chance to see that there is student athlete at Notre Dame. So that comes from a man who is really putting that out there in the front levels and front lines of college athletics. Jack, thanks for a few minutes. We appreciate it. Hope to visit under better circumstances, and thank you for the updates on all that's going on campus.
Well, thanks to you, Mike. Thanks to the NBC family for all it's doing to entertain us during this time as we're sheltered in place, and good luck.
Same here. We're 2 weeks away from me playing the piano, so stay tuned for that. Jack, thanks.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.